This is where the fun begins.
It's not letting me not move.
Well, we can hear you.
Yes, I know. And here we are. No, it wasn't letting me unclick that. Hello, everyone. I thought I was being clever and having a screen or like a little screen over before we show ourselves, and it wasn't letting me undo it. I don't know if I was clicking right or not. Maybe I was clicking left. I don't know. And so good morning, everyone, and welcome to Coffee Chat. And this is my mug today, so the narrative's fucked, and so there we go. I'll probably just demonetize my video already. But what is in your mug today? What is the choice of beverage you're drinking? So go ahead and share, everyone. And good morning, Stig. How are you doing?
I'm doing quite well. It's 6 in the afternoon, and I've had breakfast. I've played some Fallout New Vegas, and I've been reading books. So, quiet day.
Yeah.
And I've been doing dishes as well. Putting stuff in the dishwasher.
Nice. Dishwasher. All right. Well, it's not like you had a...
And by dishwasher, I mean an actual machine. I'm not putting plates inside a woman.
Well, you know what you meant. All right. So we have Miss Martin Muses here. Good morning to you. And what are you enjoying as your beverage? And then Miss Lady Toriel. Hi, sweetheart. How are you doing? And what are you?
Hello, Elf.
Yes. And how are you? And let me go ahead and put this up. There we go. And we have Culture Casino, and I'm so happy that you decided to come and join us. He says coffee and chat in the background while we work.
He got a stick from Mr. T yesterday on Matt Mordigan's stream.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Mr. T beef with him.
Oh, interesting. And then we have Soul Assassin here. Morning, y'all. Please hit the like button. Yes, please hit that like button and support. And then Thomas Conley, how are you doing? Good morning to you. And what are you enjoying? What's in your mug today? Again, and then if you guys don't recognize this is the brand from Raging Rhino.
Yeah.
So, and this is how I feel right now with some things. So it fits really well. And then Master of the TDS. Hello, how are you doing? Rev Kev. All right. So Rev Kev is here, and Friday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, my time, he will be on Talking EU. So we get to hear how he got into Star Wars, and we get to also hear Star Wars in his own take and how, and all that good stuff. So that's what I love about Talking EU, because I get to experience it through someone else.
That's going to be great, because Red Kev is always fun to talk to.
Yes, he is. He is. And so I look forward to this. So you guys, it's Friday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So stay tuned for that. And Culture Casino, I'm just listening while I work. Hey, whistle while I work, and it's a listening while you work.
Which is really disturbing, given that he works as a gigolo.
Oh. I did not need to know that. A gigolo. And Dr. Richard Volin, are those the bats in Dark Empire?
On the cover.
Yeah.
Don't think so. I think they're Minox, aren't they?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll find out, though. Could
Right.
be you're right.
Right. And then Rev Kev is decaf coffee. I scaled back regular coffee when I turned 50. All right. That's cool. And then my coffee, right? The coffee I'm drinking, I bought some coffee from a native-owned coffee company they're called Native Grounds Coffee. And this is a very dark roast, strong caffeinated coffee, and it's called Thunderbird. The name of it's called Thunderbird. So,
what is it with Native Americans and birds? it's a thing. It's the eagles and all kinds of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Right, because we see them as a link between our reality Earth and the ethers.
So it's a hell of a coffee then.
Yeah, it's hell of a coffee. I might be soaring later on.
Yeah.
All right. And then Dreaming Tabitha. Good afternoon with a diamond. Well, good morning, lady. How are you doing? And Soul Assassin, of course, subscribe to. And it's JJ. Hey, it's JJ. What's up? What's up? What's up?
Hi, JJ.
Yes, long time. No
JJ
see.
has the best gaming chair I've ever seen. He made it to play the X-Wing games, and it has he has fastened the joystick to one of the armrests and stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, it looks awesome.
I'm gonna have to check it out. Check it out, eh? I'm gonna have to.
I have a picture of it somewhere because I saved it.
Okay. Well, you can share it with me later. Soul Assassin, drinking tea, trying to give up soda. Okay, so yes, that's a great thing. I gave up soda 17 years ago, and I drank tea to help me and coffee. But what I did with my coffee and a tea is I hardly put any sweeteners in it. Like I just barely sweetened with a hint, and that helped me out significantly.
So no sugar in the tea. That sounds like a very tedious thing to drink.
No, it's actually really good. Okay, so when I make hot tea, I love a little bit of honey. That's my thing. So honey. And then when I drink iced tea, I drink it either without sugar or like sweetener or just a very little bit, a hint of it. That's all. And it tastes really good. I like how it tastes. Soul Assassin Stig, don't you know the word? The bird's the word. Yeah. And then JJ, a pleasure as always at Soul Assassin. Thank you so much, you guys. And then yes, Lady Toriel and Raging Rhino. And speaking of, you say his name about a few times, they show up. So
yeah, his ugly mug is on screen.
There we go. Look at that.
Actually, it's an awesome mug, though.
It is, and like I was saying to everybody, is that this is how I feel right now. I mean, I have people, okay, I don't like the sabers in Visions. Like a couple of them I don't care for. I think they're stupid, or the functionality, how they're using them is retarded. And, oh crap, well, I used the R word. Oh, well. And that's politically incorrect, but I don't give a damn. And yeah, so I posted that. I didn't watch the show because I'm not going to watch it, right? But I'm just critiquing. I'm just saying I don't like those sabers. Well, people are defending it now. They're like, it's cool and blah, 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 blah. And oh, well, it's a what if, so it shouldn't matter. I'm like, it's still representing Star Wars.
Yeah, and it's interesting, though, the same people were attacking the Leia Poppins scene in episode 8, but now they're defending an umbrella, which was the only thing missing from that scene to make it full done.
Right? She needed that.
But, they're right, though. It's not canon in either of the canons, so it doesn't do any harm except for look stupid.
Well, right, and my point too is it's still representing Star Wars, so there has to be some validity still with the material that they're using and sharing. They still have to keep some, I would say, continuity, I guess you can say.
At least make it look like Star Wars.
Right, or
even if it's
like shit.
Yeah, even if it's not canon. I mean, the non-canon stuff from the old Star Wars, the Infinities stories and stuff, they still look like Star Wars.
Right. And they still use the stuff like lightsabers, like how they're supposed to be used, right? So it still made sense, even though it's like an alternative story. It still made sense because you're still getting the Star Wars experience. It's just not canon to the actual Star Wars.
Yeah, if you take that coffee mug with a narrative hook and you hit someone over the head with them and you rob them, that would make it a mugging.
I guess it would make it a mugging. Very nice. I feel the same way, right? And I know I was telling Stig that I seen your guys' conversation with that guy on Twitter at 5:00 in the morning. I woke up and I was like, let me see. And I'm like half awake or not even. And I went on Twitter and I'm like, it's too friggin' early for this crap. Bye. Yeah.
I was a bit overly harsh against that guy, though, to be honest. I should have held back a little, but I was extra grumpy this morning.
Laugh out loud, Stig. All right, so let's get into this here. First of all, let me go ahead and share something with you guys before we move on. And so, literature review. In fact, those who are in the chat for literature review, that's going to help review. I will throw out some dates, you guys, and we'll discuss this. I can get it posted by today or tomorrow when we're going to have the actual review. But for literature review, we are now, on to Trusa Bakura. So if you haven't had a chance to pick it up. It's not a long read at all. And I think it's fun. It's a fun read, and you get to see exactly what's going on right after the Battle of Endor. So this book is basically hours after the battle, a day after. And so this is what we're going to be reviewing. And then
I'm 120 pages in. I'm actually reading this one on time.
I know. I'm excited because you got, I can't wait to hear what you have to say. It's been a while since you read this, so I know exactly.
20 years, I think, since I read it.
Wow.
It was one of the earliest. I think I was reading it while waiting for the next New Jedi Order book to come out.
Yeah. And then those members, excuse me, who are coming in to support and participate in chat and all that, your names are being put in the drawing to win a copy of this painting, Mistress of Rat Attack. In fact, you're going to get, the winner gets the biggest print copy that I have on me. So I have that put aside, and it'll be signed to you and everything. So yeah, I can't wait. So the beginning of October, we will have that drawing. So if you attended 5 of my live streams, then your name's going to be put in 5 times. So the chances go up the more you come in to support the live chat.
Does it count if I've been on your channel 5 times?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to win it.
You're a co-host. You're a co-host. So
okay.
I mean, I'll put your name in there.
I don't have room for it though, but I just want to win it.
You're just like, I just want to win it.
Yeah. Then I'll have you send it to someone who does have room.
Okay. So see that. So Stig is being a generous man. If he wins it, he's gonna have it sent to someone. And so he's being generous. That's pretty cool. So Raging Rhino, why would you bother, Stig? You're not a real Star Wars fan. No.
I saw something about that. If you don't like The Mandalorian, according to Fandom Menace members, you're not a real Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
And here we are talking about the old EU and promoting it.
Right. Okay, so I have this before we move on and start reviewing this comic. This one's a short one, but it's a fun Boba Fett story. So we'll get into that here in a couple of minutes. But I was thinking while I was making my coffee and getting ready for coffee chat, I was like, what would you guys purchase a mug if I had a mug made for my channel called EU Elitists? Because that's the thing that's been thrown out to us that support George's EU and George's Star Wars more than anything else. We are EU elitists. And at first I was like, that's a bad word. I don't like that. That's bullshit. Now I'm like, I'm going to wear that crown proud.
Well, it's just a couple of people, though, and one of them came up with it to set a narrative. That's pretty much it. It's not a big thing.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying, it's like take something and make it fun.
Yeah.
So, and yep. So he's like, yep, it's frustrating. I get it. And then let's see here. We're human. And then Rhino.
What's Rhino talking about? The previous one you highlighted.
Okay, let me see here. Let me scroll up before I move on. This one?
Yeah, all comes. I thought he was talking about his constipation.
Oh, Lord.
Sorry.
I have no idea. Is that what you guys were discussing while I was asleep? I have no idea, and I don't want to know. Was he asking advice from you or what? Let's see here. And then we're moving past that.
Something I don't go there or something. I'm not quite sure what it is.
And then hello, Liquid Blake, how are you doing? And then I have Keck in the house as well. All right, so you guys, let's go ahead and check out this comic. Let's get this party started with Boba Fett. We also know that there's this like little thing going on where they're going to introduce Boba Fett.
Awesome cover on this.
Huh?
Awesome cover on this comic.
Right, it is.
Actually, most of the standalone Boba Fett comics had great covers.
Yeah. So here we go. So we have, this is a standalone one. This is called from the Empire number 28. It's called Wreckage. So Here we go. And so we have two TIE fighter pilots. They're scouting.
No, they're guarding,
whatever.
And they're bored.
Yeah, bored to death. And you'll see why I'm laughing here pretty soon. So he's like, I'm bored, and they're chatting away, and he's like, he's like, you said that already, blah, blah, blah. So they're going through that little, chat back and forth, one being bored, one being annoyed, right? And then so we get here, and he's like, maybe it's a little dull, but it's nice to not have somebody shooting at us for once. And then so he goes on and comments to him, I'll tell you what, I'd rather be out here keeping an eye on this thing than chasing rebel X-Wings over half the galaxy. Besides, we're almost done. The adjudicator will be here in a half an hour, and they'll pick us up and take care of the house cleaning. And boom, he gets shot down.
Yeah, clean kill.
Right.
House clean kill.
He's like, house clean, and bam, he's gone. And he's like, Jack. And they're like, I'd rather not be, fighting and stuff and not being shot at. And lo and behold, one gets shot at.
Yeah, he's like, I'm just, yeah.
I was laughing at that. I was like, okay. And this is supposed to be a restricted area. Where did that come from? Who's out there?
He's like, we're bringing Jack and shit, and Jack left town.
And lo and behold, look at it's Slave One ship.
Yep.
Oh my God, it's Slave One. And then he's all, who's doing this? And then, of course, you see Slave One. So there we go. He shoots him down too.
Slave one shoots him in number 2. He's behind him.
Mm-hmm. I took a drink when you said that. Almost friggin' spit out my coffee. All right. And so here we go. So we have Boba Fett in Slave One, and he's going down to this wreckage here.
Wrecked Star Destroyer on is it an asteroid or is it on the planet? Oh, well, we don't know yet. But really cool artwork. I like this.
Yeah, look at the details and look how even the wrecked Star Destroyer is, you could tell, it's been there for a while. You could see it's been aged a little bit and all that.
Yeah.
So there you go.
A little bit like the derelict ship in Alien.
Right.
It's it has that vibe, doesn't it? Kind of wrecked and frozen left.
Yeah. And it's nighttime there, or they're on, an asteroid, so the space there, but you could see the details and the stars and and all that. So that's pretty cool. I like that. Okay. And then here we go. So he lands down in there. He comes out. I love this image too. I was going to share it on Twitter, but my one of my programs was messing up last night, so I'm like, screw it, whatever. But I really like this image of him. Look at that.
Oh yeah, Boba Fett is pretty much. It's almost impossible to do the guy wrong, isn't it?
Right. Yeah. Well, Disney's like, hold my beer.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, artistically.
Yeah. But they still got that guy in a little coat syndrome with him too on The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
I mean, so they have the money in for proper costuming and stuff, so I'm like why?
I don't get why they changed his armor.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's not iconic anymore. He just looks like any other Mandalorian now.
Yeah. I
mean, when he had this armor, all beaten up and pieces of it, sticking to him.
But that was also honor. When the Mandalorian, they don't really, unless they necessarily need new armor, they don't do nothing. They may like paint something different, like a something or whatever, but they usually stick to the color. The colors represent something, right? And then, so if you know Mandalorian culture, the colors represent certain things. And I think the green is representing and remembering his father. That's why when he got his father's armor, he repainted it, right? And then when he got the new armor later on in like 40 something ABY, he still kept the same colors because he's still honoring his father. But they leave the marks and all that because that's just a symbolism of all the stuff they went through.
How did Boba Fett get that big, though? I mean, he's in a desert. It's not like. I guess he ate his way out of the Sarlacc.
Maybe he did. Maybe that's what helped him. Is that
it takes 1,000 years for him to digest the Sarlacc chunks he ate. I don't know.
Yeah, and you know how people complain about women having like chest armor and stuff. Well, guys have cup armor too, right down there. So I don't know why people make such a big deal out of this shit. So, but that's just my thing there. But I like this art.
Oh, the cup armor is for pansies. I played football or soccer, as you guys call it. I've gotten hit there quite a few times by kicks and footballs and stuff. You just take it like a man, whimpering on the ground.
Yeah. And then Raging Rhino says, "I don't think the real Fett, I'm pretty sure he meant Fett, would clean up his armor." That's right, OG. It's an honor to have this damaged armor. It is. It shows the history and everything that they went through and the battles and all that. They're surviving.
It's like the armor has the battle scars, right? Which warriors would show off.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's just my headcanon, though.
Yeah. And then Abuna says he's got to protect the family jewels. All right. And he does have in the original lore, he does have a family, but there's a tragic history behind that. I'm not going to go into it right now. But yeah, so if you know Boba Fett's history, you'll know he had a family. You'll know what happened, how tragic it is and stuff like that. And then and then when you get into Legacy era, then you get to meet his granddaughter. It's a really, like, if you just flesh out his story, it's a really compelling story. Yeah,
and the artwork in this one so far is great.
Right.
Is exploring the derelict ship and
right. And so we're just gonna this right here just shows pictures with basically he has a time frame to get through to pick up what he is sent there to pick up.
Yeah, 20 minutes until he has to get out of there.
Yeah, and so we have like a dead. Is that a stormtrooper? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right there. So he's scourging. He's looking for for what he's looking for here, and
yeah. Oh, yeah. These are Minox.
Okay.
They're sucking on his armor.
Yeah.
And he shoots the stormtrooper, as a reflex, and it's full of bones.
Yeah. Right. So this dude's been dead for a while. Look at that.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he gets attacked by a Minoc.
Yeah, I think it's a Minoc.
Something. It looks like it because they also have that flat face with those circular mouth there.
Yeah.
And then, and then we have the adjudicator that looks like they're arriving. And then so he's shooting these Minoc creatures here, and still scourging. Like he needs to clear his path anyways, but he's shooting them because they're in his way basically and attacking him.
Yeah, and some of his armor is powered.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he they suck on power cables and stuff, right?
Right. And we have Jock Nerdy in the house. Hello. Let's see here. And so he's still, of course, his mission. So if you haven't really picked it up yet, he has a mission or a contract to pick something up in this wrecked Star Destroyer here. And so he has 20 minutes here. Countdown, and he's searching. And then 15 minutes, and we see the adjudicator right here coming in. And then he has the attack droids here. What the hell are they called again? Attack droids or something? I know the Rodians gave it to the person that hired Boba.
Not sure, but we'll get to that. But
right.
He gets to do some combat though.
Right, exactly. So we have a little action because this attack droid will get, like Stick said, we'll get to what they are. I know that the Rodians gifted it. It was from a Rodian's and so he has to fight against them. And so he does. So we have a little bit of action here.
Yeah, Boba Fett doing what Boba Fett does best.
Right. And, sometimes these comics, like, you don't need words to know what's going on. The pictures says it all, especially when the art's really good.
Yeah.
So, and
we've had a few comics lately that didn't have that great artwork.
Right.
But, this is good, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. And then here we go. So we have the Judicators sitting over the destroyed or the wrecked Star Destroyer here, and he now is searching or he's still fighting the droid here, and he's got 10 minutes to take care of what he needs to take care of. He destroys the droid, so he defeats it, and then he goes on his mission to go look for it. And so he's probably hastily now going through it because he had to deal with the Minox and that droid and what have you. And
he's taking a chip, I believe.
Right
Right
here.
Chip from a frame in the wall.
Mm-hmm. And it looks like he's doing that to open up something, or he opened up something and took the chip out. And he has 5 minutes to get what he needs to get and get the hell out of there. And the Judicator is now positioning over, and it looks like it is an asteroid, I'm guessing.
Just a side note on the jetpacks.
Mm-hmm.
The jetpacks don't let you fly indefinitely,
right?
Or with a lot of precision. It's basically just it gives you like a boost, almost like a jump in most cases, or it lets you hover. So when you see Jango Fett after he kills the bounty hunter lady in episode 2. He kind of just boosts up to the ceiling, or rather the roof when he escapes. Yeah. And then when he fights Obi-Wan, he just hovers. He's not flying around like Superman.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, because the jetpacks have limited fuel.
Yeah.
So it's just it's not supposed to let you fly around like Superman. It's that's not how they work.
Yeah. What is it? They fly now. Look, they fly now.
I mean, actually, even in the sequel trilogy, they don't fly around like Superman. They get those boosts from the jetpacks.
Yeah.
And in Rebels and the Clone Wars, they fly around like Superman, though. Mm-hmm. Which they would run out of fuel immediately if they keep doing that, because the jetpacks aren't that big. There's not that much fuel in it.
Yeah, and then just imagine the fuel that gets burned up quickly, because weight and size does matter when you use fuel as power, right? Because like the larger vehicle you have, the bigger the gas tank you have to have, or the diesel tank you have to have. Because like my little car has a smaller gas tank, and then I have a big truck, a 4x, and it's a diesel and it has a bigger tank. It needs more fuel to power the vehicle that is larger. So this goes on to what Stig was saying, is that you can only fly, or you can only boost yourself for a certain amount of time before you run out of the fuel, the power.
Yeah, and in this case too, he just boosts himself up through that hole to speed up. Then he runs. He's not flying all the way over to the ship.
Yeah, and then Soul Assassin says, plus they use flame throwers that cuts the fuel short too.
Yeah.
So here we have the countdown: 1 minute, 30 seconds, 5 seconds, and so he boosts himself over in here, and he hops in the ship. So he got what he needed. And look at that! I like this. I like the reflection of here. Here you guys go, Slave 1.
Yep, blasts off from the blast.
Yeah. And they say that little short program introduction video or whatever they're going to do on Disney Plus is going to show the life of Boba Fett, blah, 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 blah. Well, it's not really, because not even his ship is the same anymore. So
yeah, I'm not sure what they're going to do with that, but I'm not even going to watch it. I'm having a blast reading Indiana Jones books, so I'm sticking to that.
Yeah. And then so what the Judicator was doing is they were going over there to destroy that wrecked Star Destroyer. And he had so much time to get in and get what the person sent him to get. And so he left in the nick of time, as you can tell.
Yeah.
So there you go. And so now he's going to Coruscant. So there we go. We have the Imperial City. That's what it looks like here. She was still impressive, wasn't she? So that's him talking to Boba Fett. Even all mangled and broken like that. And then he goes, what? I can't read that. And my Anaya Karu was a beautiful ship. So he's the owner of that Star Destroyer. Not owner, but he was the captain or whatever. But are the commander?
Yeah. Former. I mean, yeah, he has a model of the ship on the desk, I assume.
Yeah, that's the model there. And he, of course, you look at him and he's a Moff.
Yeah, it looks like Tarkin, actually.
He does. I was confused at first before I really fully got into this, and I was talking to Sig about that. And he's like, "No, that's not Tarkin."
And then I spoiled it for you.
I know you did. You're like, "No, it's not." I'm like, "Okay, all right." So, and he says, "What about my hunter trainer droid?" So that's what it was, a hunter trainer, and the drones. They were a gift from a Rhodian warlord. I don't know what they were supposed to be hunting or training, so I use them as bodyguards. So that's what Boba encountered over there. So that's why, he had to friggin' destroy, and get rid of them so that he can stay on his mission before the ship was blown up.
Yeah, there's a great line there, too, because the guy says, were they still intact?
Right.
And Fett says, not when I left.
Right. Not when I left. Right. Yep. And then he goes, I suppose not. Normally that sort of thing wouldn't be allowed. But Captain Aaron Harcourt was a hero of the Empire once. My ship and I raided certain privileges, and now they're scuttled. They've scuttled us both like old scows just to get rid of the evidence. Ooh. Dun dun dun. And then, so this is why I was like, is he Tarkin? Because look at this right here.
Yeah, it looks like Tarkin.
Right, like there's a scene in A New Hope. I think he's looking out out the ship and stuff, and so that looks like Tarkin. And I was like, what? But it's not Tarkin. And then he goes on to say, they blame me for the Anaya Karu going down. The inquiry was for show better to find a scapegoat, even one with 30 years experience as a commanding officer. They ended my career. Oh, so he's sitting there like atoning and stuff, rather than admit they lost one of their capital ships to a team of rebel saboteurs. But enough of the old regrets. The item you did get it, yes. And so he hands it over. And then it says, the most precious thing in all the galaxy. And we'll find out what that is right now. All right. So he opens it up. It's an image of a woman, and she says, hello, Aaron. I miss you, and I love you very much. I hope we can be together soon. And then he goes on to say, she was so beautiful, wasn't she? We met while I was still in the academy. And then it repeats because she's repeating herself. This is a hollow image, right? This is how they keep their pictures, their images, or whatever. Hello, Aaron. I miss you. And then he goes on to say, she's been going more than 3 years, or she's been gone more than 3 years now. So she's dead. She's dead. And then he goes on to say, such a small thing, but it's all I have left of her. When I gave the order to abandon ship, there was no time to go back for her. So he left her on that ship when it went down. Isn't that crazy? He left her on that ship. But I knew if anyone in the galaxy could bring her to me, it would be Boba Fett.
You know what would have been fun if he left this holo video on the ship, not her.
Okay, because it's like he's talking about her, that he had to leave her behind.
Yeah, well, he's talking to her as if she's still alive almost. But imagine if it was her in the Stormtrooper outfit earlier.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's crazy. And then half up front, half upon completion. That was the deal. And he goes on to say, that, to be perfectly honest, I don't have any more money. Oh my God. And then, but if you can overlook this shortfall, I can assure you of my discretion, your reputation will never suffer. And then Boba Fett looks at him like, are you kidding me? Look at that. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? So, and I like this too. I like how they have the light on the side of the helmet, his helmet and everything like that. I really like how this art turned out.
Yeah, it's almost like you can tell his
you can see his expression.
Yeah, it's like his expression is darkening.
Right. He's like, you motherfucker, basically. And then he goes, no, I thought not. And then he goes on to say, I've had a good life, I think, but I've been lonely since Janelle was taken from me. I lost her. I lost my ship. And then she goes on to repeat herself to him. So her name is Janelle. And he goes, I just wanted to see her one more, hear her say my name again. I loved her very much. And you could see, look at the blaster.
Yeah.
Up against it. He's crying. Look at the blaster. So, and see right here, this is another one where I thought he was Tarkin. See how very familiar the facial features are? I think they copied. I'm going to look into this a little bit more because I didn't have a chance to. I'm curious to see if they were trying to make this a Tarkin story and it turned out not to be, and maybe they told him no.
I don't know. Maybe it's like trickery to trick the reader into thinking it's Tarkin.
Right. And then so she's, repeating herself because the message just keeps playing and playing and playing. And lo and behold, he's dead.
Yeah, shot him through the eye from the
right here. You can see the eye there, all that, and he's gone.
Pretty, it's with Boba Fett, it's you stick to the contract, and that goes both ways for him as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pure business. If you don't hold up your end of the bargain, he'll hurt you.
Right. And Soul Assassin right here, he's going over the colors that the Mandalorian use for their armor and stuff and what they mean. Red is honoring a lost love. Blue is reliability. Black is justice. Gold is vengeance. Green is duty. So there we go. Yeah, so the red then, so I got that confused. Red is the lost love. So he does have red, remember his family, and then duty, because that's kind of what he was made for, was to honor Jester Mariel. He was supposed to be trained to be the successor, but that didn't happen because Mace killed Jango. All right. So Lady Trail says, if they gave you white armor, run, you're going to die.
Yep.
And then trampoline jump. And then let's see here. Plus they use flame. Okay, I already read that one when we were going over that. Tarkin's twin brother Darkin. Oh my God, that's hilarious. All right, and then right here, there is only one Tarkin, right?
Correct. And he's played by Peter Cushing.
Right. And so this was a fascinating story at first. Like I said, when I just browsed through it and didn't fully read the story yet, I was like, that's Tarkin. He looks like Tarkin. And Stig's like, no, it's not Tarkin.
There's I think it was Carrie Fisher said when they were shooting the Death Star scenes, right? The close-ups and all.
Mm-hmm.
Peter Cushing was wearing slippers.
Yeah,
he didn't like wearing the boots. So he was, when he's standing next to Leia and saying, fire at will or whatever it is.
Yeah. He's wearing slippers.
Yep.
That's a badass right there. He's commanding. He's still in his house slippers. That's a good one. I love that. Oh my goodness. So we have this here, and so you guys tell us what you think about this little adventure with Boba Fett. Stig and I were discussing some stuff behind the scenes before we came live to start Coffee Chat, And we were talking about how Boba Fett, he doesn't do things vengefully. And when he shot him, that's not out of vengeance. That was out of him not honoring his contract.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, look at this. Hello, Matt Wilkins. How are you doing? Good morning, Alora. Good stuff, Stig.
Yeah, speaking of things with no honor, there's Wilkins.
He always comes in when we're talking and stuff like this, and it always gets set up in such a funny way. So good morning or afternoon to you. So when we were talking about Boba Fett, he doesn't do things out of spite and vengefully. Maybe when he was younger, because he was still, experiencing the loss of his father. And of course, Mandalorians don't have a history with Jedi, and so they're natural enemies. And then having his father being killed one by one kind of just really stuck that thorn in the butt even more, like being vengeful towards Jedi and stuff. So we have that. But other than that, there was a code that, he was taught by his own father, Jango, and then he kept for himself. There was an honor code that he had. And Abunas says, it is just me, or is OG given a sexy and sultry Monroe voice with the hologram? Yeah, it was me. It's everybody. I did it. I did it that way. Yeah, so I thought that was brilliant with how they made Boba Fett's character, and no, yeah, he, he's not supposed to be this morally correct person, but still, but for himself, he had some moral standards that he lived by. It was all about
he has rules. Simple
right.
as that. I mean, it's even in most of the novels that they talk about how he gets the job done, because it's sticking. If he takes a contract, he'll get it done. Right. He gets it done. Like, even if you, I think it's in Bloodlines, the beginning of Bloodlines, I believe in Legacy, he is picking up a bounty, a person, and the person's like begging him not to take him in and stuff like that. And so the person, and there goes my voice now, excuse me. But when the person, when his subject he's picking up per contract, he's like begging for his life. Like, I don't want to go with you, Boba. He goes, maybe if, I offer you this, this, and this, you'll leave me alone. But he ends up trying to offer his own daughter off. And he's like, you scum. I hate it. You're just pissing me off. I hate when people offer up their family, their daughters like that. Yeah. So he does have a sense of morals, but he is in a profession that's, not a very moralistic type of profession here. Oh, thank you, my nerdy home, $2 super sticker. Let me check to see what it looks like here. It is, it's a fox with little hearts. Thank you so much for your support. I appreciate it. And let's see here. And welcome to Coffee Chat this morning. And what are you enjoying in as your beverage? Abu Nas, guess Boba wasn't here for his shit then. Right. And then so now we're gonna move on and check out this next one. And this is a five-part series, so we're only going to talk about the first one, and then so the next couple of weeks will be the second and third and fourth and fifth. And if you guys were with us when we first began, we went through the Jabiim arc with Anakin Skywalker. So now we're getting into the Jabiim arc with Luke Skywalker. And this one is, and it's a very great series. And Stig was like, we should, you could probably do this, put them together on PDF so that it's just the back-to-back story. So you can read it like that. But this one is called In the Shadows of Their Fathers. And if you're familiar with the Jabiim arc with Anakin, we are now so many years later, like 20 something years later. About, I don't know,
22, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
The Battle of Jabiim is probably the best storyline in the old Clone Wars comics. At least that the best Anakin centered story.
Right.
In my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, no, because we see him experience a lot of emotions. We see him even I guess you could say kind of go dark. And isn't that when he thinks Obi-Wan dies, or because he goes missing or something? Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff going on. And then, of course, Palpatine is starting to manipulate him. So he listens to Palpatine when he says, we need to get you out of there. And he leaves these people hanging. And so now they're blaming Anakin for their downfall and stuff when he was only taking orders. And he was hesitant, too, on taking those orders, as I recall.
Yeah, they actually saw him. He force choked one of them, too.
Right. And we're going to get
because he was basically pissed at the people who told him to retreat. So everyone kind of died for nothing.
Right.
And one guy gave him lip for it, rightfully so. But so he force choked him.
Right. It's
didn't kill him though.
Yeah. It's like he just threatened him with a force choke or whatever. But he didn't kill him. Yeah, so it's a great arc. It's a very great arc. And I think I will do that. I think I will put these on PDF and put them together, the Anakin's and then into Luke's story with Jabiim and put them back to back. So let's get into this. And again, I like this right here. I like that, we have Luke Skywalker here and he's in his regular color. But then again, when it refers back to his father, from Jabiim arc, we get into the gray clouded area because that's the past, right? And so I really like this image here, this cover, because it has your past and your present. He is in the shadow of his father right here. So, all right, so let's go on. So I was really, really excited about this. So we're going to get some flashbacks here. We're going to go back to the scenes here. But Jabiim in the Outer Rim, 21 years before the Battle of Yavin. It is sad that those who ignore the past are doomed to repeat it. But what about those who refuse to let go of the past? Are they too consigned to a similar dire fate? In our own turbulent history, there are a few moments as dissected and analyzed, as obsessed over as this. And so we see that. We were just talking about what was going on in Jabiim here. And so here he is right here. He's getting force choked by Anakin right here. So we have that scene back then. And back then, Jabiim was a planet that had, a lot of constant rain. That was their environment. So that's, when they were there, it was like endless rain, right, Stig? Endless rain.
Yeah, it was raining all through the comic.
Right. And so this was the turning point, the moment that sent everything swirling in the sewer. So we have the early days here, where we're where we are now because of the choices made that day. So they're talking about the past, what happened with Anakin and everybody on Jabiim, all of that. And so how many Hez, I think that's how you say the name, Hez. And so they're scouting here about what we expected. So they are now, I wouldn't say ruled by the Empire, but they're kind of enslaved. They have some slaves going on, right, Stig?
Yeah, they're occupied, aren't they?
Right. There we go. Occupied is a better word. A few hundred slaves, an Imperial skeleton crew, nothing we can't handle. And so they're occupied. They have some Jabiim slaves. They are mining Jabiim. That's why the environment changed, right? So they're mining Jabiim. And so we have these rebels that are trying to free their worlds, right? Their home world from the occupation.
Yeah, basically they're rebels on that planet. They're not part of the rebellion.
Yeah, they're not a part of the rebellion. They're their own separate faction for their own cause, their own planets, basically. And then, the walker's empty. That it's there to scare the slaves. Probably hasn't ran it in months. So they're scouting. Like I said, they're scouting. They've seen what's going on. The sun's at our back. If we're going to hit them. Nolan, now's the time. Signal the charge, bring them hell, and set our brothers free. So you'll find out what, who's the other son that's involved other than Luke Skywalker in this storyline. There's two of them. That's why it says in the shadows of our fathers. If you slaves can't pull your own weight, then we may as well feed you to the Ma. And then he goes, and then they get hit. So they're being hit now. They're taking action, those rebels, Jabiim rebels here. And I know there's a name for them. I just forgot to write it down. We'll get to that here soon. You'll tell them that I tried to help you, right? And so they're up here. All the rebels are up here on, and this kind of reminds me of Thunderheart. If you ever watched that movie towards the end of Thunderheart, where it's recorded on Pine Ridge and it's, Oglala Lakota, and they're all on the bluffs and stuff making a stance. That's what it reminds me of. So there we go. And then Jabiim, 7 months after the Battle of Yavin. So this is 7 months after the Battle of Yavin. So you guys have an idea. So then they're like, rebel attack, so they're having the rebels trying to liberate their world, right? Our world was once a planet of perpetual rain. Its turbulent atmosphere and endless storms had an unattracted and it made it unattractive to host to most outsiders. So he's kind of telling the history. So we're getting the history here. We're getting the introduction of what's going on. To us, it was paradise. And they were happy that, no one wanted to come and really occupy or come to the world and, whatever. So they were happy to have that climate and stuff, and be kind of separate from the rest of the galaxy. Decades of Imperial strip mining. So there we go. Rigorous climb of Jabiim's heart of precious ore have left our once proud, once free home a dying and broken husk. So we're getting the history here. So this is what they're fighting for. They're fighting for their world, their people to be liberated from the Empire. Her people demoralized and exploited, but not without hope. As long as the memory of Jabiim former glory lives, we'll fight to restore it. And so again, we're getting some more history. And then he goes on to shout out or say, bring that tower down. And then we get back into the history. We're fighting a war against the Empire and our own nationalist government. So they're fighting not only against the Empire, but the national government that allowed them to come in and mine. And when you go back and read the story of Anakin's Jabiim arc, you kind of see the beginning of this because they were still fighting their national government, right? Their government that sold us out. We've been forced to stay mobile, always on the run, but the scales are tipping. And so now he yells into the comm, we're under attack, scramble, scramble. So there we go. So we have some of the history here going on. So we have the Jabiim rebels fighting against their nationalist government. And those nationalist government allowed the Empire to occupy. In a way, they've been there since they lost Jabiim, right, Stig?
Yeah. Well, probably a little later because they abandoned the planet to the separatists, and then later on, after Palpatine, became the Emperor, they most likely went back, right? Because the separatists technically was the rebel side during that war.
Yeah. In a sense, yeah, because in a way, like Palpatine kind of orchestrated both sides of the war, but we had to have like the rebels versus whatever, and stuff. So I get what you're saying with that. So it's very interesting just to go dissect the history of that time, but we won't. Our revolution is closer to success than it has ever been. And then if we only can stay alive long enough to see it through. So again, they're attacking the enslaved encampments, the mining, and we have the Stormtroopers running. We have a lot of action going on. They're bombing everything, even their own men. And then he goes on, it's a trap. We have to pull back. We have to retreat. And then he tells them, we're not going anywhere, Hez. So that his name is Hez. There's bombing and then he indiscriminately. They're not thinking clearly, and we can use this to our advantage. So they're they're in a state of war right here. You know that. And lo and behold, we have an X-Wing come in. So there we go. So what do you think about this image, Stig? Do you have anything to critique it?
No, it looks good to me.
Okay. All right. So we have the X-Wing come in, boom. He goes, where did that come from? Looks like the cavalry's arrived. So there we go.
I mean, yeah, that's a... Where did a spaceship come from? Probably space.
Right? It's like, where did that okay. Yeah, but who called them in? So we have the shuttle coming down. We have the X-Wing, the top of the X-Wing right here. I think that's pretty cool right here. We get to see the top of it, the astromech, all of that. That looks pretty cool. I'll explain everything as soon as they finish mopping up those stormtroopers. So we have a hint of what's going on. They were called in to help out, right? Stay sharp. Some SOAMs. Is that how would you say that? SOAMs. SOAMES. SOAMs. I'll say SOAM. They have SOMs. SOAMs.
Yeah, SOMs.
SOMs. I am like, I just
kind of like Joe. You don't pronounce the E.
Okay, like foam because you don't really have to say. Okay,
yeah.
Right. They've bailed us out, but until we know what they want, consider them hostile. Ooh, okay. All right, and so even the smallest thing seems off. Shoot to kill. So they're telling them to shoot the X-Wings or try to shoot them down. They don't trust anybody really.
Also, Soul Assassin wants you to zoom in on Leia.
Okay, let me get down there first. I will. I will honor Soul Assassin's request through Stig, and he's all, yes, sir. And then we get to Leia. Let me scroll down here. Here you go. Now look at that. She is freaking amazing in this picture.
That lady in the background, she's in these comics for quite a bit, and then her story just kind of vanishes.
They do that to some of them, don't they?
Yeah, it's because these comics were written close to the takeover.
Right.
So they probably had a lot of plans with this character, but never went anywhere.
Yeah, she's very intriguing, isn't she? She looks very intriguing.
Yeah, she's really cool, but there's not enough of her. That's the thing.
Yeah. So there we go. So we have, like I said, she looks badass. She's in her tight jumpsuit here. She's walking out like a badass. Look at her. Like you see a lot of command and charge in her stature. So I really like how she's drawn here. And I know the guys like how she looks here. So there you go. So please lower your weapons. We're here to see Nolan Gilliman. So he is the son of the guy who got force choked by Anakin, right?
Yeah, the beardy guy.
Right. So he's the other son of this story here. And when I was reading a little bit of this history of this series, they originally was going to call this Sons, but then they changed the name to Shadows of their fathers.
Good artwork on Leia's face, so you can tell instantly it's supposed to be Leia.
Right, it is. And she's all, we're here to help. So there you go. And then so let's go to the next one. Let me zoom out a little bit further just so that we can, there we go. And then so we have now Luke coming on scene. He was the one in the X-Wing. Whoa, hold on, steady with the blasters. If this is your way of sharing thanks, then I say no thanks are necessary. So he's telling him like, hey, wait a minute, stop. Stand down. And that's what he says. Stand down. These people are here at my behest. They are not our enemies. So he goes and lets them know that he contacted the Rebel Alliance to help them get rid of the Empire off their planet. So he's seeking their aid, really. And so this is very interesting, and I can't wait to finish or get through the next few comics after this one because it gets really, really good. There are guests. You know anything about this? And Hez says no, but I'm interested to see where it goes. So there we go. And then so they're discussing here it's kind of gray, so they're in a discussion here. We've sir, we realized we released all the captive civilians. And then he goes on to say, give them supplies and give them supplies, and told them they've could head back to their homes. So they're discussing everything that's going on here. And then he's all like, excellent, good work, Lieutenant Soames. I'll see you back at the base. And Leia's like, I'm impressed. Your men really look up to you. So she's impressed by his leadership. She's recognizing that. And I really like her image down here, how she's looking away right here, and just how she looks, her side profile and everything. They know I wouldn't order them to do something I wouldn't do myself. But the truth is, I'm benefiting from the long shadow my father cast. Interesting. And he goes, his leadership was unshakable. I'm lucky to be half the man he was. And then Leia goes, I have to admit, Jabiim's not quite how I pictured it. And then so they go on. No, it's not how most of us remember it either. I wish I could say that the climate is the only thing that's changed. We spent the last 2 decades fighting to win back our freedom. We're closer than we've been. But so now, see, he says 2 decades. So that basically goes close to Jabiim with Anakin and what happened there during the Clone Wars. If it's more troops you need, we have the troops. Thank you, though. He tells that to Leia. So she tells him that, and he tells that to Leia. But we do need help. We've let the past turn us into isolationists. Interesting. But they were like that in the beginning, right? They didn't really want, when I recall, right? Stig, are you there with me? I think he stepped out real quick. Yeah, he is. All right. So let's go back here. I'm going to go look at chat real quick. Becky Brown, thank you so much for coming in and supporting. And let's see here. And everybody's saying hello. And he says, these comics make the rebellion more believable. Right. And that's why I love about this comic here, when it has refers back to, the past and stuff, because, it does show that the past does harm the future at times. And this is what this is all about. And it's very compelling. It's very sad as well. So, and then he goes on to say, 20 years ago, we were abandoned by the Republic, betrayed by a Jedi. There we go. We're getting into the story some more. And left to be pillaged by the Separatists and later the Empire. Since then, we fought hard, but we fought alone. Excuse me. Other systems came to our aid, but we turned them away. If we're to have a future, we can't continue to ignore the bigger galactic picture. So he's telling this to Leia. So he's given her information. Right now, she doesn't know that Anakin's her father. So she doesn't know. But he's telling her about Anakin Skywalker, what happened there, and how they felt betrayed by him. I need your help to make them forget the past. And then she goes on to say, we just need to show them that the Alliance is different than the Empire. And then lo and behold, we have them up in orbit here of Jabiim. We have the squadron here. Then that's what we'll do, whatever it takes to save Jabiim. So we have the X-Wings here. We have the squadron up in atmosphere here. I'm just saying, where there's better ways to go about it, Wedge, there has to be. So they're discussing everything that's going on there.
There's an excellent picture of Wedge. You can tell immediately it's him. Yeah,
right. And then, look at the space junk. Look at how easy would it be to sneak a frigate or a small destroyer in here. And so they're basically observing, the planet and stuff. The planet basically is in waste. Jabiim is in waste. Their atmosphere, their environment changed from the destruction of the world and everything, and they're in waste, even in atmosphere. It'd be a breeze. You're right. I'm not arguing that with you, Hobbie. So he's talking to Hobbie. and we're still missing and you're still missing the point. Not if the point is keeping Leia and the others alive. So they're up there, to aid them if they need to be aided, right? All I am saying is, what would it hurt if we just buzzed the area? So they want to scout the area, scout the planet, just to make sure they aren't walking into something they can't get out of. So they're being smart about everything. So there they are. So you could see here's Wedge here again. Is that Wedge?
Yep, easily
Yep.
Wedge.
Easily. Aside from doing exactly what we ordered, we are ordered not to do. Not much, except maybe spook the Jabiim and make them more trigger happy than they already are. Give the princess some credit, So they're told to just be on standby, right, Stig, and not do anything. But Wedge wants to, go in and basically, check things out to make sure everything's okay. So, and let's go on. And so here we are. We're back at the base here. We're back at Jabiim's rebel base. The rebels' ships are squared away. We stash the X-wings in the freighters, hold the freighters hold, and backed the ladies' freighters into a mine entrance. So they're basically telling what they did. The imps could be standing on them and they wouldn't see them. So they're hiding their ships and all that other stuff so that they're not discovered. And then Nolan, I know what you're trying to do by bringing the rebels here, but I don't understand why I was left out of the loop. You're going to have a hard enough time with this, with the others, without risking breakdown in your chain of command. So he's kind of doubting him a little bit, Nolan a little bit, for what he did without, telling, I guess, the other higher officials in the rebellion or whatever. But Nolan feels like he's doing something right. He wants something to change, and they turn down, other planets' aid and help. So now he's like, we need help. I'm just going to go ahead and take it in my own, stride to bring the Rebel Alliance in here to help us out. So, that's why we have Hez over here, kind of doubting him. Like, are you sure you're doing what's right for us, and not telling us and keeping us in the loop? So Nolan says, I don't mean any disrespect, my friend. I just couldn't risk word of the rebels visiting to get out. The consequences could be explosive. So then he's thinking about, also, since they're asking the Rebel Alliance to come in, if any news got out, it can make matters worse for them. So, and what do you think about the Stig so far?
Yeah, it's being set up, the story. Yeah, pretty much set up so far, but great artwork, and story slowly building.
Right.
And it's a hell of a hell of a good payback for the investment the Star Wars comic readers did with the Republic comics, as they're told, which is where the Clone Wars comics take place.
Right.
And they're getting a proper payoff with this that follows up one of the best stories in that previous series.
Right.
So this is great stuff from Lucasfilm, I guess.
Yeah, from from George Lucas era Lucasfilm. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this is this is an excellent story to give to the fans.
Right. I agree. And I mean, when I read this, and I finally read this after reading the Battle of Jabiim and stuff, I'm like, oh my God, Stig, this is so great. I was like, oh my God. And
told you'd like it.
Yeah. And then like the next stories, like one of the next stories, you get to see what happens with Luke. I'm not gonna give any details on that right now. I'm not trying to spoil anything because it's so good. So basically he goes on. So the guy in the background with the white beard and stuff, you don't know the half of it, Nolan. Have you lost your mind? And so he's pretty upset with Nolan for making these decisions by himself. Your father's turning in his grave. If he were here, he'd, and so he's pretty pissed off at Nolan taking leadership and taking charge on trying to find a solution to help his people out. Because like he said, there are people so isolated, they're still stuck in their beliefs and stuff that, and this shows with this guy here. And this guy, he looks old enough to have fought with his father, Nolan's father, back then. So he's probably was there when, witnessing what had happened during that time. We would want to hear what our guests have to say, General Dunab. So come. So I think he was. Do you recall? Do you remember, Stig, if Dunab was mentioned in that?
No, I don't remember.
Yeah, I'm about to go back and look at it. I didn't think about looking at it now.
Yeah, it's been like a year.
Yeah, it has. Yeah, Stig, and I still have to look back to see what was our year when we started these comics and stuff. And you co-hosting.
Yeah, I think we're definitely past the year mark now.
Well, yeah, I know that. I wanted to go back and find exactly because I haven't done it yet. So let's go on. I think you should too. So basically go in and we have Leia. This is her silhouette here, and she's presenting herself. People of Jabiim, I know our presence here is unexpected and likely unwelcome. All I ask is that you give us a chance to speak and our opportunity to show you that our motives are pure. For far too long, the Empire has held the galaxy in darkness, violently imposing its will on systems like your own. No world stands alone. Only by working together is there any hope of changing. And so she goes on to talk. And then so these guys are like still not having it. They're not trusting because of what happened in their past. And then so he goes on to say, please, you think we haven't heard all of this before? Why don't you just drop the politician routine and tell us what you really want? Why don't you pipe down and let her talk? So we have this, like, some people are like, hey, just let's hear it. And some people are like, just get the hell out of here. I don't want to hear your bullshit kind of talk. And then so Leia goes on and says, in a calm, steady, like even her face is still steady and calm. And she's presenting herself classy and all that. I only want what you want, to end the Empire's oppression and be free to decide my own destiny. I lost my homeworld. I don't want to see you lose yours. So she's using, what happened with her homeworld as an example. So, for them to bring them in to help, in a sense. And so we have the lady here that we were just talking about with her markings on her face and stuff like that. And she's talking with Luke right here, or he's talking with her. I don't know how she does it sometimes. And she's like, does what? And he goes on to say, put herself out there like that, stands in front of a room full of hostility and doesn't miss a beat. Even thinking about it makes me sweat. And then so she says, and I didn't write down the lady's name, but the lady tells Luke, that's funny. Some might think the same thing about facing down a sky full of TIE fighters. That's what you do. This is what she does. So she points that out. So I think that was pretty cool. It seems like I've been doing more than my share of public speaking lately, too. 6 months ago, I was daydreaming about getting off Tatooine. Now I'm crisscrossing the galaxy, enemy of the Empire, poster boy of the Alliance, which is fine. It's what the rebellion needs. I know, but it's just a lot to process sometimes. So that's interesting. So, he's the enemy and he's of the Empire, and he's the poster boy of the Rebel Alliance. Yet, and I'm just going to go there. And I will always say this. Yet, in Disney lore, he's not known. He's a myth. Even right after the Battle of Endor, he's a myth. That doesn't make sense whatsoever. Not lore. So, but it's fake lore, right? It's fake lore. Still, I don't want to let Leia down. Relax, take a breath, she tells Luke. You get through this little diplomatic exercise and you'll be back blasting imps before you know it. So she's kind of calming him down and stuff. I think she's pretty. I like her markings. I like her. I don't know if it's tattoo or if it's like, I don't know, but I like how she looks. She's very fascinating. And then so basically they go on. It's just not that. I don't really like the spotlight either. Sure, I did what I did, but it wasn't because I'm anyone special. I don't deserve all of this. So Luke is like, I really don't deserve this, blah, 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 blah. Now, who is this right here? Is this Steve?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Looks like a chump.
No,
he was yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Anyways, all right. Actually, you do, and so do they. So he's talking. When you dropped that shot, you did more than save everyone on Yavin. You gave us all hope. That's what could actually beat that we could actually beat the Empire. So he's telling Luke that he's like reinforcing what he did brought hope. Leia's only trying to spread that hope and keep it alive. Look, I'm just a statistician here to assess what the Jabiim might need to get them through this fight. I can run numbers and chart graphs and drop one loaded supply ship after another, but I'll never be able to give them what you can. To no time for modesty, kid. There's your cue. And Luke goes, thanks. So this is going to get very interesting, you guys. Very, very interesting. Like I said, this part one is the setup, and we're going to get more into this arc next week and the week after. So Leia introduces him. In terms of sheer numbers, yes, we are overmatched, but it's not the numbers. It's how hard and how passionately you fight. One person brought their Death Star down. This man, Luke Skywalker. And then we get this expression, what? Skywalker, is this some kind of joke? As an Anakin Skywalker? And then, Hez says, Nolan, what have you done? And then Luke says, Anakin was my father. Why? And so they're like ready to beat them down. You can see that panel down there. The son of Skywalker here, grab them, kill them. So here we go. And so he reaches for his lightsaber, and Leia kind of stops him there. Luke, don't. It'll only make things worse. Lower your weapons. I'm ordering you to stand down. And then so basically Leia says, what's happening? What did I say? And then Hez says, it's not you, it's him. The only thing more hated here than the Empire is the man who stabbed us all in the backs 20 years ago. A Jedi called Anakin Skywalker, your father. And Luke's like, my father? And then so they go on to say, back off, Dunab. I'm still in charge here. You're a fool, Dunab tells him. Nolan conspiring with Skywalkers here. These boys want justice. They want blood. So look at that. They are pissed from what had happened in the past. And now a Skywalker coming in to help liberate them, right? But they're still very pissed off, emotional about what had happened with Anakin Skywalker on Jabiim. And their encounter with him and how everything just was lost, basically, because they lost Jabiim. That was one of the biggest losses in the Clone Wars, right, Steve?
Yeah, they lost a bunch of Jedis there too.
Right. It was very tragic. So if you haven't had a chance to read the arc, the Battle of Jabiim in the comics and stuff, go back and read that. This is a great, like they said, what happened in the past, what our fathers did in the past, does imprint the future. And we're seeing this right now. And so now we have the X-Wings up in
also,
go ahead.
Side note, the Battle of Jabiim is in the Volume 2 of the Clone Wars omnibuses. And that one, people are charging an arm and a leg for. It's not even funny. It's bizarre. Part 1 and 2 don't cost much at all. But part 1 and 3 doesn't cost much at all. But part 2 is like $100 more.
Wow.
Easily. People are...
because it's probably Battle of Jabiim, because it's such a good story.
I don't know what it is, but
yeah, I'm guessing it is, because like even certain certain ones like that has to do with like better telling stories, those are more expensive and stuff. So people are, they're more popular, I guess you could say. So people hike up the price. That's how I see it. All right, so let's go on here because we're almost done with this. Attention, Alliance pilots, you are ordered to depart Jabiim orbit immediately. So they're telling that to the Alliance, to the squadron here. Negative, Jabiim. There must be some misunderstanding. Our directives are clear and non-negotiable, they are told. And we won't be given them again. Get lost or get shot down. And then then he goes, well, now what? And that's the end. So we have this right here. So this is the beginning of this 5-part series. The Shadows of Our Fathers. It's a great storyline. Let me see here. And then Soul Assassin, I don't know. A random farm boy flying an X-wing and destroying a Death Star would be a big news around the galaxy, right? And that's the thing. That's the thing that really took me out of the experience. And like the experience with the Disney lore, it's like you guys are full of shit kind of thing. Is that they really make Luke look like he's not significant anymore when he is the hope. That's why they call it A New Hope. He is the hope, right? And he is used as the poster boy of hope.
If it wasn't a big deal, they wouldn't have had a huge ceremony giving him a medal.
Right.
I mean, a rebellion needs heroes, something that people can rally around. Luke became that. Which is why there's bounties on him everywhere. Sky high, and eventually they want him alive. Because Palpatine figures out who he is.
Right.
And so does Vader.
Right. Let's see here. And then Abu Nas is probably talking about Leia. You damn right. We love how she looks. Yep. And amazing how fleshed out the eras between Clone Wars and the Rebellions are in the comics. Right.
Yeah. And they also tie into the novels as well, because they reference those quite often. And the prequel trilogy references at least one comic and a couple of the novels.
Right.
So there was synergy between all the mediums, really.
There was.
Why would George Lucas reference novels and comics if he didn't care about the EU?
Right, and he didn't consider them canon. Now, he knew that they weren't part of the movie canon of the hierarchy of canon, but that's it, and, and he also addressed, like, how he talked, that he knew that he really didn't write them or make them. He may have contributed to to the stories, approved plots, maybe ghost written, helped create characters and stuff, but he had say. Everything and stuff.
He didn't ghostwrite anything. He had people ghostwrite for him.
Yeah.
Because Lucas is not a novelist.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but anyways, So when you see people still use the same Starlog quotes and stuff like that, one thing is that I don't think George understood exactly the hierarchy of the canon that was being established to kind of show that the movie, the number one, the foundation and everything expanded off of it.
Yeah, but that quote is so taken out of context as well, because he's being asked about writing, right? And Lucas is a movie maker,
right?
First and foremost, and he's talking about the movies are his universe in terms of writing, or and creating. That's what he was answering.
Yeah.
So kind of very much out of context that that quote.
Right.
Lucas never called it canon. Yeah, he never called the movies canon either, because he never used that word.
Yeah, right. And just because he said it's not part of his, doesn't mean that it's not a part of Star Wars. He's just saying that he didn't write it and that it's not in the movie tier of canon. So
he literally said after Return of the Jedi that the story of Luke and Han and Leia and Star Wars would continue in novels and comics. Right. He didn't say it was an alternate story of them. He said that their story would continue in, the comics and the novels.
Right. And then, so, and it's amazing, like how people just like to cherry pick those things and take it out of context and stuff like that. But really don't see the evidence of how well the expanded universe is tied into the movies. Yeah, there's errors, especially before the prequel trilogy came out, because he did tell him not to write, get into that time frame. And when something was like foreshadowed for it, like the dating, did get screwed up a little tiny bits and stuff like that. And then when they decided to make the EU a part of the overall continuity in the larger canon, I guess you can say, there were some things that did have to be put into like N or S canon because they didn't go with the movies as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of the stuff they used to criticize the EU was released before there was an EU.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't really blame them for not sticking to continuity when they were never told to stick to continuity back then. I mean, the Star Wars Expanded Universe was kind of one of the first of its own kind, No other movie franchise had an expanded universe around it. Usually you had comics or novels and stuff that was just set in that universe, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they were one-off stories.
Yeah.
But Star Wars, it just blew up, and they figured, we need to tie this together to have it all make sense. But when they decided that, you had like 20 novels, well, probably not that many, already released, and you have the Marvel comics from the 80s. They don't fit, at all.
Yeah, so they had to restructure it. And that's not a bad thing either. They just cleaned things up, and they cleaned up kind of rather early, because they still had stuff coming out, but it wasn't as big as we had it like after Thrawn, and stuff like that. And
I mean, you can't blame the lady who wrote Truce at Bakura for not being psychic and realizing that, hey, in a few years there's going to be an expanded universe, and then George Lucas, who said he'd never make more Star Wars movies, it's going to make 3 more.
Mm-hmm.
She had no way of knowing that.
Yeah, exactly.
Still, surprisingly enough, the Truce at Bakura doesn't mess up anything, really.
No, it doesn't.
That one actually fits really well, unlike a lot of the...
Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, actually it fits better than the Thrawn trilogy.
Mm-hmm. Oh, now you took it. That's a hot take. Oh, explain yourself then, mister. No, I'm joking, but go ahead.
Well, the clones in the Thrawn trilogy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they do reference the Clone Wars wrongly,
Mm-hmm.
So a Truce at Bakura and I guess Courtship of Princess Leia as well, and Tatooine. Mm-hmm. Well, Tatooine Ghost was released later though, but I mean there's more continuity issues in the Thrawn trilogy than a Truce at Bakura.
Yeah,
Thrawn trilogy is a better series though.
Yeah, it's not that bad. It's more like date. And there's this like small time frame date discrepancy and stuff like that. So it's not really bad either, to where it makes Thrawn trilogy go into an S or an canon of the tier at the time. In fact, here's a little history about that. Because Thrawn trilogy was so great, and that George even liked that, and like George gave Zahn, the Weston Games material to help him write the stories, right? So George, he was involved in such a way of, he's like, here's these books, I like them, study them, get your information from here and write the story. And
he even used George used the Essential Reader's Guide when he was writing the prequels.
Mm-hmm.
And even when they were planning the Clone Wars, that book was on the table, and that's an EU book, EU encyclopedia, really.
Yeah.
So weird he would use that if he didn't care about the EU.
Right. I mean, there's so much evidence there and stuff. And then what I was saying is that, even with the little minor discrepancies from Thrawn, the Thrawn trilogy, back then it was called Empire trilogy or the trilogy. Yeah. It's what helped made the decision for them to go ahead and start making one single history of continuity for Star Wars.
And if they hadn't done that, if there was no EU, we would not have had the prequels.
Right.
And then you would not have had the Clone Wars and not the sequel trilogy and the Mandalorian, what have you.
Right.
So, Wilkins, though, is right, because he keeps saying that when people argue that the EU wasn't canon and all, at this point, it's willful ignorance, because the evidence is plentiful and it's been a thing for 30 years. So if you missed it for 30 years, it's kind of on you.
Right. It's crazy how that is, and how people are still stuck on that, when it's also evident that Disney Lucasfilm is basically building their structure on what the past structure of Star Wars was, where the EU was tied in with the movies, right? So they're still sticking to the same structure, just with their lore. So that's another proof of evidence there, is that they're still sticking to that structure.
Sadly, they can't stick to it, though, because the story group's not doing their job.
That's another discussion right there. But I'm excited to get into the next four of the Shadows of Our Fathers. So as you can see with the cover here, I really like that cover. Look at Leia, and look at, I don't have her name down, I'm sorry, but look at them. I love that image right there. It's so detailed. You can see the expression on the faces, like they're like in the world of shits right now. Like they need, they're fighting their way through. You could see the blasters on them, I guess you can say, too, as it looks like, or something. Right there. Yeah. So
there's blasters pointed at them.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So these next four coming up, this is an amazing story, you guys. And if you haven't read Battle of Jabiim and you have a way to get them, read them, catch up on the story here. Amazing story. I will share the link to the copy chats of Battle of Jabiim that we went through, so that you guys can even watch that if you need to kind of refresh your brains on it. It's a great story. I love, like, even with, and Matt Wilkins, I know he does not like Tatooine Ghost. I love it because we get to see Leia make peace with herself, get to know more about her father, kind of breaks her belief of how she's seen her father, because she only encountered him as Vader, right? And she was tortured by him and everything. So she has every right to be like, piss on you, you're not my father kind of deal. She has every right to feel that way. But when we get into Tatooine Ghost, the novel, she gets to learn and visit people who grew up with her father, and she gets to have that self-discovery. She makes peace with her Skywalker heritage. She makes peace with Anakin. And then from that, and her fear of having children and them turning into a Vader, which we already know what happens with one of them, she makes peace to where she wants to start a family. Han wants to start a family, right? And because he wants to have that hope of the new generation and stuff like that. And so that's why I like the story. And that was after the PT and stuff. So yeah.
Scott Johnson in the chat says her name is Nira Dantles.
Thank you.
Correct.
There we go.
It rung a bell in my head as soon as I saw it.
Yeah, I didn't write it down. I'm like, shit, I forgot to write her name down. So yeah. Let's see here. And Abuna says, I'm trying to keep quiet so you really already know I'm public enemy number one. What are you public enemy number one for? Huh? What did you do? Oh, what did you do? Let's see here. Nothing to see here. Move along, Darth Kennedy. Yeah. So, I love these stories that reference and share history from the past and the present here, that, that affect the newer generation and stuff. I think it's really, really good. So, great introduction here. So we're going to start closing out here. So all the channel members who have came into chat and supported today in this live stream, your name's going in for a chance to win a copy of this painting here. I'm so super excited. It's like I really loved how she turned out. I really, really do. And the drawing will be in October. And let's see here. So again, on this Friday, the 24th at 6 p.m., Talking EU with Rev Kev. He popped in here for a little bit. And then tonight, I am supposed to be hosting Queen's Council at 6 p.m. So stay tuned for that as well. And so that's what's going on in the immediate, like today and within this week. Stig, what do you have going on?
Nothing except Morris channel for the cringe factor on Friday. Usually on that if I'm awake. I think that's it. Teresa's been doing the Lord of the Rings chats though, but I don't think she's doing one this weekend. So not doing anything. Yeah.
And Scott's right near us from the X-Wing comics. So there we go. So she's in more than one thing. But I just didn't reckon. I'm not too privy with the comics, and that's why we're doing this. So I'm more about the novels and stuff like that. So I'm having some fun discovery that I'm like, oh, that's what that character looks like. Oh, well, this tells a little bit more of what I knew and fleshes it out better for me. So I'm experiencing everything through the
comics.
Plus,
in some cases, we're talking about stuff we read 20 years ago.
Right, and we forget.
Yeah. They do blur together, especially back then. I was reading Star Wars books left and right. I was plowing through like 10 a month or something.
Yeah.
So they just the new Jedi Order and stuff like that, they just blur into one story for me. Really, I can't tell the.
Yeah, and that's a 19 series, 19 book novel series. It's. Crazy. I
don't know what happened in book 7. I know what happened in the whole story, but not where.
Yeah, exactly. So Soul Assassin, thank you so much for sharing the link to the Battle of Jabiim here. Thank you so much. Yeah, so again, if you guys don't remember or hardly recall what happened, revisit the story Battle of Jabiim. Go back and watch our review when we reviewed the comic. That was like a while ago too. Like what, a year ago? Because it was one of the firsts, correct?
The Battle of Jabiim?
Yeah, when we reviewed it.
No. We did the Menace Revealed comics, which was 2 of them.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying it's one of the firsts, but yeah.
Yeah, no, because it's in volume 2 of the Clone Wars. We had done 3 or 4 omnibuses already.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And so many comics, right? And then he's got the nerdy face and everything going on here, right? It is, but it's fun. It's like you get to revisit something that you haven't visited in a long time, and then it sparks that love and that interest again all over. Then you're like, oh yeah, I remember why I love Star Wars, kind of deal. And then speaking of revisiting stories, again, we are in the process of reading and going over Truce at Bakura on your own. I am in the process, and hopefully we'll have a date out to you guys by tomorrow on when the review is going to be next month. So we are reading Truce at Bakura. I think it's a fun story. It's right after the Battle of Endor, just a day after. We get to see how Luke is doing with his health and stuff in the beginning, after he, basically experienced Force lightning. So it's a very good story. Fun. I think it's fun. So if you guys haven't picked up the novel yet, you still have time. I don't recommend the Audible because there's a lot of nuances that are not in there that I think needs to be in there, that you guys need to read about.
Basically, it's a 3-hour audiobook that's so abridged. If they had done all of it, it would have been 10 hours.
Right.
So 7 hours missing.
Right, and it's tragic. Oh, so Lady Torio, so how is your Quinlan Voss painting coming along? I haven't started it yet, but I plan on starting it. Once I do, I'll start sending pictures. I still just have the, let me grab it right in here. She's super excited about that. So I am doing a Quinlan Voss painting. This is just a sketch. I end up getting carried away because I loved how it was turning out. So I just, instead of just doing a fun little sketch, I friggin' drew the whole thing out. So there we go. So that's the next one. And I'll probably have opportunities for channel members to win a copy of that as well. That's just out of gratitude for your support, your continued support. So if you haven't become a channel member, I recommend you do it as well. So there you go. Anyway, so let's go ahead and start closing out. Again, one of the major supporters of the channels as well is Raging Rhinos. The narrative's fucked. If you've seen me posting on Twitter lately, you'll notice that I'm very feeling this way right now with some Star Wars stuff. And people are so upset that I don't agree with some of the lightsabers and visions, and that's okay. That's okay. I guess it's their opinion versus mine, and that's fine. So again, you guys, thank you for watching and participating, supporting. I appreciate every single one of you. Next week, part 2 and 3 of The Shadows of Their Fathers. I recommend that you guys come in. Great stories. Ask questions in the chat too. Participate in the chat. I try as best as I can to keep involved with the chat while we do this as well. So thank you guys again, and may the force be with you.